Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now we're seeing whales close their long positions. In fact, about $250 million has just left long positions, which historically is not good for the price of crypto. So later in this video, I'll be talking more about that for both Ethereum and Bitcoin, which will be important to pay attention to. So definitely watch to the end. Just starting off on the daily Bitcoin chart, and right now we can still technically see this bearish divergence is active and in play. But with that being said, even though we have an active bearish divergence in play, which technically means we're due to see reduced bullish momentum, if you're looking at the daily Bitcoin RSI, we're still holding this upward trending line of support, making higher lows. And if you're simply looking at the last couple of times that this has happened this year so far, we never actually confirmed the next significant bearish move until the daily Bitcoin RSI broke this upwards trending line of support, both back in the first quarter of this year, entering into April, and also back during May, entering into the middle of June this year. So once again, even though we still have this bearish divergence in play, which means we might see limited upside price action on the daily time frame, we still have not confirmed another significant move to the downside, at least until the daily Bitcoin RSI starts breaking this uptrend line of support. Because the moment we see a signal like that in the daily Bitcoin RSI, obviously that would be telling us that we're most likely in for another significant move to the downside, like what we saw back here and back here. Once again, this is just based on the daily Bitcoin RSI. And now if you're zooming into the 12-hour Bitcoin chart, what we can see right here is that over the past one day, we've seen a perfect bounce from this upward trending line of support, which I covered yesterday. And yesterday, that level of support was coming into play at around 22.3K to 22.4K. But right now, it's currently coming into play just above 22,500. And also just above that uptrending line of support, we also have this Fibonacci level coming into play at around 22.7 to 22.8K. So around that area right there, obviously we have some shorter term support. And if we do end up seeing a break to the downside below these support levels, then I would be expecting the next support for Bitcoin to come into play at around 21.7K approximately. And if you're looking at the 12-hour Bitcoin MACD, technically we're still seeing reduced bullish momentum on each of these bullish pushes over the past 1 month or so, which technically means this bullish trend that we've been in since around the middle of June is losing some of that bullish momentum. And a similar thing can be said about the immediate short-term Bitcoin price action just on the 4-hour time frame, because if you're looking at the 4-hour Bitcoin price oscillators right now, they're actually showing neutral momentum, not bullish or bearish at the moment, because the 4-hour Bitcoin RSI, for example, is chopping around sideways, forming somewhat horizontal highs, and we recently formed a lower low and another lower high in the 4-hour Bitcoin RSI. So once again, this indicator in the immediate short term is somewhat neutral above anything else, and the same can be said about the 4-hour Bitcoin MACD, because over the past 1 to 2 days, we've actually seen a very slight bullish cross with almost no momentum to the upside, and then a very slight bearish cross with almost no momentum to the upside, and then over the past 1 day especially, we've just recently seen another short-term bullish cross with once again no momentum to the upside. And generally speaking, when we see these false signals in the 4-hour Bitcoin MACD, especially when we see almost no momentum to either direction looking in the histogram, and especially while we're seeing the 4-hour Bitcoin RSI chopping around sideways, this all means that we're seeing a lack in momentum to either direction at the moment in the immediate short term. This is just talking about the 4-hour Bitcoin chart and talking about these bullish and bearish moves. Right now, I'm mostly expecting choppy sideways price action rather than an overly bullish or bearish move in the immediate short term, just on the 4-hour time frame. And just updating you on my current short-term Bitcoin trading strategy, with the recent bounce to the upside up towards around 23,500, that did actually stop me out of my short positions, because as I've been mentioning almost every day over the past 1 week, ever since this point right up here, obviously I've been letting you know in these videos that I've been shorting Bitcoin once again ever since around here up towards 24,000. And since then, just a few days ago, I did mention on the channel that I took some profit from those short positions right around here. And once again, over the past few days, I've been letting you know that I put my stop loss just above this 5-day moving average, which was still below my entry price, meaning that it's sitting in profits for a short position. So as of right now, I'm not currently longing or shorting Bitcoin, because in the immediate short term, we have very neutral signals, not bullish or bearish, but I'm still continuing with my long-term Bitcoin strategy, which is simply to dollar cost average into Bitcoin and hold for the much longer term, as in for many years years to come. Now, with that being said, even though we have a lack in momentum in either direction in the immediate short term, technically we are seeing the formation of a bullish pattern, which is this descending broadening wedge pattern. But it is important to mention that as of right now, at least at the time of recording this video, we have not seen a confirmed breakout. And the level that Bitcoin needs to break above is coming into play at around 23.5k. And obviously we need to see a confirmed breakout with something like a 4-hour candle close at least. And if we do end up seeing a confirmed breakout above 23,500, then a technical price target for this descending broadening wedge pattern would be coming into play at around 24,500. So basically this previous high, which has already proven to be previous resistance. So basically, if the Bitcoin price breaks above around 23,500, then we could be due for around a $1,000 move in the price of Bitcoin, which is around 4 to 4.5%. But like I said, technically speaking, we have not seen any confirmed breakouts, at least as of right now, which means right now this price target is not currently in play. But anyway, getting into the Ethereum part of this video, and this chart right here shows the Ethereum long positions on the Bitfinex exchange, and this is on the daily time frame, by the way. And right now we can see a lot of money is flowing out of these Ethereum long positions. In fact, over the past few weeks, we've seen well over 147,000 Ethereum leave these Ethereum long positions. And for those of you who might be new to all of this, long positions are essentially betting on the price going to the upside. So if a lot of money is flowing out of long positions, that means all of that money is no longer betting on the price going to the upside. So all of that money, whoever owns that money, is getting more bearish on Ethereum. And by the way, that amount of Ethereum that has left these positions so far is worth around $250 million. So we're not talking about everyday people here, we're talking about people with a lot of money. And we've also seen this happen 2 other times over the past 1 year, where a lot of money flowed out of Ethereum long positions on the Bitfinex exchange. And those times were during the end of March, entering into early April, and during the middle of November last year. And now if we look at these Ethereum long positions compared to the Ethereum price against the US dollar, this is what we see. Once again, these are the Ethereum long positions and this is the Ethereum price. And we can see those 2 previous times where a lot of money flowed out of Ethereum long positions. That was simply the beginning of a larger bearish movement. And once again, right now, these Ethereum whales are exiting their Ethereum long positions, which basically means they're no longer betting on the Ethereum price going further to the upside. And this, of course, comes after we've already seen a massive bullish move in the price of Ethereum over the past 1 month or so. And if we're looking at these 2 previous examples that we've seen over the past 1 year, we also saw this same thing just after a bullish move during March and just after a significant bullish move during October leading into November. So to simply summarize the sequence of events on this chart right here, we have a bullish move in the price of Ethereum, and then a lot of Ethereum whales exit their Ethereum long positions. And then just after that happens, we see a lot more bearish price action, and then they begin to re-enter their Ethereum long positions. And then we end up seeing another bullish move in the price of Ethereum, which is where they exit their Ethereum long positions just before another significant bearish move in the price of Ethereum. And then they begin to re-enter those long positions again down at the lows. And now that we've seen that bullish move, they're now exiting those Ethereum long positions. So unless this time is different and these Ethereum whales are simply wrong about the move that is coming, then this chart right here, specifically this metric, is a little bit concerning for Ethereum holders. And for those of you wondering what the Bitcoin long positions look like on the same exchange, this is what this chart is right here. And by the way, this is looking over the exact same time period on the same time frame as the Ethereum long positions, this chart right here. And so while we're seeing a lot of money flow out of Ethereum long positions on the Bitfinex exchange, we're not really seeing a lot of money flow out of the Bitcoin long positions. We've seen a very slight decline, but mostly a plateau over the past few weeks in the Bitcoin long positions. And now if we're heading back to the daily Ethereum chart, but looking at the daily Ethereum RSI, we're still technically seeing this active bearish divergence in play. And by the way, this is the first visible bearish divergence on the daily time frame for Ethereum that we've seen ever since the end of March, entering into early April. And the time before that was right towards the all-time high for Ethereum towards October and November last year. And the time before that was during August leading into September last year as well, just before the September correction. So historically speaking, these bearish divergences on the daily time frame for Ethereum have historically been very accurate at telling us when we're seeing reduced bullish momentum and when we're most likely due for a bit more of a pullback. Whether that means just a correction in the Ethereum price that lasts for a few weeks, like what we saw in September last year, or potentially a larger bearish move. Now, obviously, considering this is on the daily time frame, this doesn't mean that we can't see any short-term bullish price action, because, for example, if we're looking at what we saw in October and November last year, we initially saw this bearish divergence starting to form during late October, but we didn't actually top out until around the middle of November. So in the meantime, in the much shorter term, the price of Ethereum still went to the upside a little bit higher, but this overall bearish divergence remained intact, which meant that we're still losing bullish momentum on the larger picture, and obviously the Ethereum price eventually ended up rolling over. So this means if the price of Ethereum goes to the upside in the shorter term, let's just say over the next couple days, then that doesn't necessarily invalidate this larger bearish signal on the daily time frame, unless of course we see a higher high in the daily Ethereum RSI. If we see a higher high, then that would invalidate the bearish divergence. But for now, while we have lower highs in the daily Ethereum RSI, and while we're seeing those higher highs in the Ethereum price action, technically this is still a valid pattern. Now, with that being said, if you're zooming into the slightly shorter term, just on the 12-hour Ethereum chart, we can see this rising wedge pattern is still technically back in that formation phase, because after the price of Ethereum briefly left this pattern to the downside just yesterday, we saw an attempt of a retest of this previous level of support, but we immediately saw a break back inside this pattern, which invalidated any sort of break to the downside. In fact, the break to the downside, as I mentioned in my last video, was lacking confirmation, because as I was talking about yesterday, in order to see more confirmation for a break to the downside here, ideally we needed to see a break below this previous low sitting at around 1560 approximately. And also, if we came back up for a retest, we needed to get a rejection from that previous ascending line of support. But considering the fact that we did not break below that previous low just a few days ago, and considering the fact that the price of Ethereum broke back above this ascending line of support, we were simply lacking confirmation in this break to the downside. But with that being said, we could still end up seeing another break to the downside. But once again, if that ends up happening, we need to see some confirmation signals in order to be more confident in that break to the downside. And by the way, this level that Ethereum needs to now hold above is coming to play at around 1680. So if the price of Ethereum starts breaking below around 1680, next I'll be targeting towards these lows sitting at around 1600, just below 1600. And if the price of Ethereum starts breaking below those lows, immediately I would expect Ethereum to drop down towards around 1500, and anything below that, our next significant level of support would be sitting at around 1360. But once again, that scenario only plays out if we see a confirmed break below this ascending line of support first, obviously. And until then, our levels of resistance to watch out for are coming into play at around 1780, and anything above that, I'll be looking towards around 1900. And if you're zooming into the much shorter term, taking a look at the 4-hour Ethereum chart, technically speaking, this is currently looking more bullish than bearish. Because first of all, if we're looking at the 4-hour Ethereum RSI, this is currently in an uptrend, forming higher lows and higher highs. Also, if we're looking at the 4-hour Ethereum MACD, just like Bitcoin, we've recently seen a bullish cross, but unlike Bitcoin, Ethereum on the other hand is showing a little bit more bullish momentum within the histogram within the MACD indicator. And also, the price of Ethereum itself has broken above this 5-day moving average, with one retest of this moving average flipping it into new support. And technically speaking, that is a short-term bullish signal. But remember, this is all talking about these smaller movements on the chart. And for now, our immediate level of resistance, like I said, just on the 12-hour chart, is coming into play at around 1780. Below that, I'll be looking towards this 5-day moving average, sitting at around 1640 as our immediate level of support. And anything below that, I'll be looking towards around 1550 to 1560. So just to quickly summarize the Ethereum situation at the moment, technically in the immediate short term, talking about hours and days, we're looking slightly more bullish at the moment. But if we're zooming out to larger timeframes like the daily Ethereum chart, we do have these larger bearish signals telling us that this larger move that we've seen over the past 1 to 1.5 months is potentially beginning to fade away. And if you want to maximize your profits in the crypto market, check out these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how to make money in crypto if the price is going either up or down, and the video in the bottom left shows you how to make money if the price is chopping around sideways. But anyway, that's everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.